I'm your host, BrightLearn, and today we're going to explore a topic that is as complex as it is crucial. The globalization of poverty and the New World Order, as discussed in Michel Chossudovsky's eye-opening book, The Globalization of Poverty and the New World Order. This is a book that challenges us to rethink everything we thought we knew about the global economy and the forces that shape our world. Published in its second edition, Chossudovsky's work is a powerful critique of the policies imposed by the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the World Bank on developing countries since the early 1980s. These policies, often referred to as structural adjustment programs, were supposed to be the magic bullet for economic stability and growth. But as Chossudovsky reveals, they have instead led to the impoverishment of hundreds of millions of people across the globe. Let's start by looking at the impact of these policies on developing countries. According to Chossudovsky, the IMF and World Bank's insistence on austerity measures, currency devaluation, and trade liberalization has had devastating consequences. Internal purchasing power has collapsed, leading to famines and the closure of health clinics and schools. As a result, hundreds of millions of children have been denied their right to primary education. In some regions, these reforms have even contributed to the resurgence of infectious diseases like tuberculosis, malaria, and cholera. Chossudovsky argues that while the World Bank claims to be combating poverty and protecting the environment, its support for large-scale hydroelectric and agro-industrial projects has accelerated deforestation and environmental destruction, forcing millions of people from their homes. This is a far cry from the original spirit of the Bretton Woods Agreement, which was meant to promote economic reconstruction and currency stability. The impact of these policies extends beyond the developing world. In the wake of the Cold War, macroeconomic restructuring has been used to support global geopolitical interests, including U.S. foreign policy. The IMF World Bank economic medicine has been imposed on Eastern Europe, Yugoslavia, and the former Soviet Union, with devastating economic and social consequences. The dismantling of state enterprises and the imposition of austerity measures have led to widespread unemployment, low wages, and the marginalization of large sectors of the population. But it's not just the East and the South that are feeling the pinch. Since the 1990s, the same structural adjustment programs have been applied in the developed countries, albeit in a less brutal form. The theoretical and ideological underpinnings are broadly similar, serving the same global financial interests. Monetarism is applied on a world scale, and the process of global economic restructuring strikes at the heart of the rich countries, leading to unemployment, low wages, and the dismantling of the welfare state. Chossudovsky paints a picture of a new international financial order that feeds on human poverty and the destruction of the natural environment. This order generates social apartheid, encourages racism and ethnic strife, undermines the rights of women, and often precipitates countries into destructive confrontations between nationalities. The reforms, when applied simultaneously in more than 150 countries, contribute to a globalization of poverty, undermining human livelihood and destroying civil society across the globe. Under the IMF's jurisdiction, the same menu of budgetary austerity, devaluation, trade liberalization, and privatization is applied simultaneously in over 150 indebted countries. Debtor nations forfeit economic sovereignty and control over fiscal and monetary policy. The central bank and the Ministry of Finance are reorganized, often with the complicity of local bureaucracies, and an economic tutelage is installed. Countries that do not conform to the IMF's performance targets are blacklisted. Chossudovsky's book is filled with harrowing examples of the human cost of these policies, from the anti-IMF riots in Caracas in 1989, where over 1,000 people were killed, to the bread riots in Tunisia in 1984, the student riots in Nigeria in 1989, and the general strike in Morocco in 1990. The list goes on. These are not isolated incidents, but part of a broader pattern of social desperation and hopelessness. The inauguration of the World Trade Organization, WTO, in 1995 marked a new phase in the evolution of the post-war economic system. The WTO has further entrenched the principles of trade liberalization, privatization, and foreign investment, effectively policing countries according to international law. The deregulation of trade under WTO rules, combined with new clauses on intellectual property rights, has enabled multinational corporations to penetrate local markets and extend their control over national economies. The dominant economic discourse, backed by the Bretton Woods institutions, reinforces the illusion that globalization is conducive to long-term prosperity. This illusion is sustained through the manipulation of economic and social data, including the figures on poverty. The World Bank's arbitrary $1 a day poverty threshold is a prime example of this manipulation, grossly distorting the reality of poverty in developing countries. The United Nations, particularly the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, has echoed these falsehoods, claiming without evidence that the progress in reducing poverty over the 20th century is remarkable and unprecedented. The UNDP's Human Poverty Index, HPI, is based on criteria that are inconsistent with country-level realities, further distorting the true picture of global poverty. The dominant economic dogma admits neither dissent nor discussion of its main theoretical paradigm. Universities are expected to produce a generation of loyal and dependable economists who are incapable of unveiling the social foundations of the global market economy. Similarly, third world intellectuals are increasingly enlisted in support of the neoliberal paradigm, supporting the process of global economic restructuring. Within this context, a counter-ideology has emerged, focusing on sustainable development and poverty alleviation. However, this counter-ideology rarely challenges neoliberal policy prescriptions and often serves to legitimize the status quo. It provides a human face for the Bretton Woods institutions while avoiding a meaningful critique of the global economic system. Chossudovsky also discusses the impact of these policies on women, arguing that the World Bank's approach to gender issues is deeply flawed. While the bank claims to be promoting gender equality, its policies often undermine women's rights, particularly in the areas of health and education. The imposition of user fees for health and educational services, for example, has disproportionately affected women, who are often the primary caregivers in their families. The book further explores the development of a global cheap labor economy, where the relocation of industrial production to developing countries has led to the compression of wages and the weakening of labor rights. This process is not limited to light manufacturing, but encompasses all areas of material production that are mobile internationally. The technological revolution has played a crucial role in this process, enabling the decentralization and relocation of material production to the Third World. The high-tech innovations of the 1980s and 1990s have become powerful instruments of worldwide corporate control and supervision, allowing multinational corporations to minimize labor costs by linking up with cheap labor production sites around the world. Chossudovsky argues that the state has been weakened by these policies, with national economies transformed into open economic spaces and countries reduced to territories of cheap labor and natural resources. The compression of internal consumption and the redirection of production towards the world market have led to the destruction of national manufacturing for the internal market. The book also delves into the role of debt in this process, highlighting the symbiotic relationship between debt management and macroeconomic reform. The IMF and World Bank use debt as a lever to impose their policy prescriptions, ensuring that debtor nations remain in a straitjacket that prevents them from embarking on an independent national economic policy. Corruption is another theme that runs through the book, with Chossudovsky arguing that the economic reforms have created an environment that fosters corruption and the criminalization of state institutions. The privatization of state enterprises, for example, has often led to the transfer of valuable assets to foreign investors at bargain prices, with little benefit to the local population. The media, according to Chossudovsky, plays a crucial role in perpetuating the illusion of prosperity and masking the true impact of these policies. The dominant economic discourse is reinforced by a media that is often more interested in promoting the interests of powerful corporations and financial institutions than in reporting the truth. Finally, Chossudovsky emphasizes the importance of civil society in resisting these policies and advocating for a more just and equitable global economic system. He argues that grassroots movements and social organizations are essential in challenging the neoliberal agenda and promoting alternative models of development. In conclusion, The Globalization of Poverty and the New World Order is a powerful and provocative book that challenges us to rethink the global economic system and the forces that shape our world. It is a call to action for those who believe in a more just and equitable future. As we continue to grapple with the challenges of globalization, Chossudovsky's work serves as a reminder that the status quo is not inevitable and that change is possible. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the BrightLearn podcast. I hope you found this discussion as enlightening and thought-provoking as I did. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and share it with your friends. And don't forget to leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep thinking for yourself.
This has been a BrightLearn video from BrightLearn.ai on the book The Globalization of Poverty and the New World Order by Michel Chossudovsky. Visit BrightLearn.ai for more fascinating videos like this one, and visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage and breaking news on critical stories that keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.